and friends, my name is Catherine and I'm the human behind Creation Miss Kusher. And today it will be, well, to me it will be a fun episode of Dye Pan because we're going to be dyeing natural dye. So I purchased a while back a little bouquet of hyacinths and I had some foliage with it, and I was wondering if I could be using those to try to naturally dye yarn. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be experimenting with the hyacinth flowers, and we're going to be experimenting with the leaves that were in the bouquet. So we're going to be doing the concentrate to try to dye yarn with my bouquet of hyacinths. So let's get into this. Hello and welcome back to another fun trial of whatever comes to my mind. So what we're going to do is, because I had those beautiful flowers, so those are hyacinths that I purchased at the grocery stores, and they are wilted because this is unfortunately the life of the flowers. So we're going to grab the flowers. We're going to be weighing them to see how much flowers we have, so that way I can prepare the right amount of fibers that we're going to need. My goal is to be able to do at least one skein of yarn if possible. So as per the natural dyeing book by Catherine Davy, I believe that's how it's pronounced, when you have flowers or leaves, because we're actually going to be doing both separately. So we're going to be using the flowers and those leaves to make two different type of dyes, because I just want to explore with the natural dyeing. So wait, I need to slow down a little bit. So we're going to weigh the flowers, and separately we're going to be weighing the leaves to try to do two different dyes. My hope is we'll be able to get like a blue purplish color with the flowers, and I don't know what the leaves will give us. So we need to weigh them before we can prepare the fibers. So that's what we are going to do first. Okay, so we don't have a whole lot of flowers, but it's fine. We're just gonna go with it. So we'll move this one and we'll grab the leaves. So for the leaves, what they recommend is that you cut the leaves so that it's going to be similar um, to your, what's the word, to tea, to your tea leaves. And since we have more leaves, I believe that we probably will have a darker result with the leaf. So I think we're still going to do like a full skein with the flowers. Oops. Because why not? And I think we're going to also be able to compare at some point the result of this, because those are fresh. They're still pretty fresh leaves. So I feel like we would have maybe a different result if it was dried leaves. And I'm currently collecting leaves from one of my plant upstairs in my home office, because it's quite literally losing leaves every week. So I'm going to be collecting those leaves and see if we have a different color with fresher leaves than we would have with dried leaves, which I would not be surprised if the color was different, because there's probably still some chlorophyll in the greener leaves that would influence the final color. So those are hypotheses I'm working with right now, but you can let me know what you think will happen in the comment box. I would be very curious to see what you think. You know what? I think I'm going to try to do this a little smarter. Work smarter, not harder, right? I don't know how small the pieces should be. We'll have to live with this. Okay, here. I'll probably have to speed up this process during the editing part of it. And like I figured, we will have much more leaves than we have the flowers, and that's okay. We're just going to have a more pastel color with the flowers, I'm sure. And all of that will go to my compost bin once we are done with the leaves and the flowers and the pulps. It smells like grass right now. Which is kind of funny. I'm almost done. Still have, how many? 5 stems to work with. But I think it was easier when they were already detached from the stem, so let's work with that. And I'm wondering if fresh flowers versus dried flowers makes a difference. That's something we would have to compare at some point. Because I would think that with the fresh flowers, you technically have more juices, I guess. So much easier to just cut it. Almost done the cutting part. And natural dyeing will take longer in general, just due to the nature of the dyeing involved, because the preparation is a little longer, because you will have to pre-mordant stuff and things like that, so it just makes the whole process a little slower. So if you're more into the slow living things, it's actually it's nice actually to take the time to do things and not feel in a hurry all the time, because this is definitely more countryside lifestyle, I guess. I think it will be interesting to see the color difference when I compare to the leaves I'm letting dry over in my home office upstairs. So when you're doing dyeing with leaves and flowers, you're supposed to weigh the leaves and the flowers. And if, for example, right now I'm at 48 grams, that would be enough to dye 48 grams of fiber. That it can be whatever type of fibers you want. Now, what I have here at home is mostly merino, so this is what we're going to be using. So it's an animal protein based fiber, but you could also do it with linen, cotton, and other type of fibers. You just have to do the preparation slightly differently. And when it comes to natural dyeing, they recommend to scour your fiber. However, since the way I do it, the way I dye my things, it kind of combines the scouring process. So we have 59 grams here. Here we had like 16 grams. I'm still going to use a full skein for both colors. It's just going to make it lighter in the end. So now what we're going to do is put the flowers and the leaves in a pot that we will put on the stove, and we'll cover it with hot water, and we're going to let this infuse for a long time. So like we're going to do like with tea, and just like boil it for a while to extract all colors, and we'll go. So we're just going to go in the pot right now. Okay, so we're going to be adding our flowers here, the leaves here, and we're going to be covering with hot water. And we're probably going to be we're we're going to be adding a little bit more water to this though, because there's not enough water in my personal opinion. Mhm. And it's mostly it, the reason why I want to add more liquid is simply because I don't want it to burn. Mhm. Okay, so we're going to bring this to a boil and let it simmer for at least 15 to 30 minutes. And after that, we'll let it cool completely overnight. And tomorrow, we will remove the leaves, the flowers from this, and we'll be able to start dyeing our yarn. And right now, I added my yarn into a bucket of tap water and some citric acid, so that way it will pre-mordant the the fibers that we have. Let's just do a quick stir. And next time I'm going to use flowers. It's most likely going to be dandelion because we have a load of dandelion in my yard right now. So hopefully we see something coming out of those flowers in those leaves. Worst comes to worst, you'll just be disappointed. Or I just don't post the video. That's the worst that could happen. Okay, so I'll bring this to a boil and we'll see what happens next. See you in a bit. Okay, so it's been 45 minutes about, and it's yellow. So we shall see what the hyacinth, will give us in the end. But at least we have some colors. And here we have a faint green. We're going to let this one longer. We're going to let it cool off overnight, both of them. And tomorrow we'll see what we have left and remove everything. So see you tomorrow. All right, so it's time to filter this mess. We're going to remove as much as we can. And as always, I only use my dedicated dye pot to dye, even though it's technically natural. We don't want to poison ourselves. It really drained all the color from the flowers, and it created this yellowish color, which I was surprised. I was hoping for something different color wise. So that's life. What can I say? we're almost done. After that, we're going to be adding, I would say probably the 9 cups tap water to our mix. And then we'll be adding, I was going to add 2 skein of yarn, but I don't think it's a good idea now, so I'm just going to be adding one of 1 skein of yarn. And where is my, there. Yeah, because it's going to be, probably 18 cups. And I'm going to turn on the heat right now so it has a chance to warm up. Okay, so we'll have at least 18 cups. And I'm using my soaking water. So basically, I'm using the water where I had my skeins pre-soaking. So it's my pre-soak water. And there's some citric acid in it. So we will have a little bit of the mordant already in there. So I feel like we're going to have a very similar color than that we had when we were dyeing with the green tea. So this is my expectation. It will be a very similar color to that, which is fine. So what we're doing right now is basically the scouring of the fiber, which will help with the final color to be bound to the yarn. Now I'm going to remove the leaves, and this is going to be extremely pale. The color will be very pale. I'm telling you this right now. And after that, this is all going into my compost bin. So I'm just going to be adding 1 skein as well for the leaf one. At least I think the color will be different enough that I will be able to distinguish between both of them. Okay. Come on. And it's very interesting to see that the leaves, they have like a blue discoloration around the edges. So this is very interesting to me. Come on. Let's remove the leaves. Mm-hmm. The water is cold. By the way, I'm not just putting my hands in hot water. It has time to cool down overnight. So okay, so we're going to be adding the same amount of water in this. So we're going to be adding at least 18 cups of tap water. And we're going to turn on the heat right now to help it. I'm just going to be adding 1 skein, that's for sure, because we don't have a whole lot of dye in those leaves. And that's okay. Okay, I'm going to be adding a little bit of citric acid in both even though I've been using um, some of the pre-soap water. Okay, so now we're going to let this go to 95 Celsius. And when we reach that point, we will let it cook for about half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe a little longer. And we're going to turn off the heat and let it cool overnight because it is dye, natural dye. So I like to let it soak overnight. So it was already on. Okay, let's get into this. Okay, so with natural dyeing, we usually expect some form of bleeding, which is normal as up to an extent. Like when we say that it's normal to have some bleeding, we're not talking about a murder, right? We're talking about we're talking about a little tint in the water. We're not talking about it looks like we've just, I don't know, made pasta sauce. So basically, if I have a little tint, I will be happy with it. And we're just going to wash it a little bit more thoroughly just to make sure that we have all excess dye outside of it. However, since we didn't have a whole lot of pigment in this case, we didn't have a whole lot of bleeding, and the bath were pretty much clear. So I was not expecting to see anything in it. And if I was going to see something, I always second guess myself because I'm in the basement and I don't know if it's just shadows. So we'll let it dry and we'll see the final result. And here's the final result of dyeing the bouquet of my hyacinth and its leaves. And it is a very, very soft color that we've obtained. Eyes away. And there's barely a difference in the shade. So this one is slightly more on the brown tan side, and this one is absolutely more on the yellow, very pale yellow color. It's very pretty, and what I'm learning is that natural dyeing creates lots of different shades of yellow, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just I need to adjust my expectations. When I see colors like blue and purple, I might not obtain blue and purple when dyeing with it. So this is definitely something that I need to take into consideration, that it's not because something looks like I will have the color that I will actually have the color. So that was a fun experimentation. If you would like me to try other things, you're more than welcome to let me know in the comment box below. I will try to see what I can do with that. But in the meantime, if you've liked the video, please consider sharing, liking, and subscribing, and I will see you in the next one very soon. Bye!